I am here to confess to all my sins. Although I've read through the Harry Potter books around 40 times, that does include The Cursed Child. I've read through that around 5 times, which isn't too bad, but it's 5 times too many. So here I am. Please, dear Lord, wash me of my sins. I truly want to rid my body and my sanity of these thoughts. Anyway, I'm here to talk about the latest Hogwarts Legacy state of play. It is such a hyped up game that I actually got 20 minutes of its own state of play. I don't know if this has happened before with any games, but this is the first time I've heard about it. And let me tell you, I am a huge fan of what they are going for right now. I think this is my most anticipated game ever, and I've been playing my whole life. So, that says a lot. Until Elder Scrolls 6, until my Lord and Savior Todd Howard gives us some update on Elder Scrolls 6, I am just going to have to be fine with Hogwarts Legacy, and that is completely okay with me. So there was a lot of aspects of the game that was shown. I will put up some on screen if I can find any. I've got a Reddit post here that's bullet pointed some of the major aspects that were shown, and I'm going to comment on each one. So first of all, obviously the exploration. I think that's a really big part of the game. And guess what? We have gotten an image of a portion of the map, and that portion was absolutely massive. There was like mountains, lakes, it was insane. And that's just a small portion. I didn't realize we'd be getting into this type of landscape all these years leading up to this moment. I thought it'd just be Hogwarts, couple classrooms, the hall, the dorms, maybe even Hagrid's hut. Obviously we won't see Hagrid, but just the grounds. But I never expected this. I never expected this much land to be covered. There's little hamlets that you can visit. You can visit Hogsmeade. You can visit the lake, the forest, I assume. It's huge. And I think it won't be as big as people expect it to, but still, as long as it's more than just Hogwarts and Hogsmeade, that's more than what I wanted, and thank you, Avalanche, for that. I've actually played one Avalanche game before this, and it was Toy Story 3 when I was like 8 years old. No joke, I actually loved that game. It was one of my favorite games when I was 8. I remember the main hub area. I never went through with the story. I just loved going around the hub, collecting like gold or whatever. And I also remember a monster truck track. If any of you have played that game, then you'll know what I'm talking about. I loved being there. I swear I've spent like 10 hours just in that track alone. I don't even know what I would have been doing there for all that time, but there you go. I've got experience with Avalanche. So, one aspect of the exploration that I really like, the devs took inspiration from the books mainly. So for us book fans, there is going to be a ton of places that we'll recognize. From what I saw, we have the Hogwarts kitchens so far, which is crazy to me because that place has only been visited like twice in the books, I think. So it's really cool attention to detail. And GG's Avalanche. At the moment, I don't have anything that looks to be like a flaw, but obviously we're in a really early phase. They've still got around 8 months, so anything can change. But right now, I'm just going to tell you right off the bat, the state of play all looked perfect to me, and it looks too perfect to be true, which is my problem. But I guess there's nothing I can really talk on that. There was a lot of clips of the combat at play, and it looks really cool. It does look like certain spells are a bit not lore friendly, not canon, because sometimes in the gameplay there's like moments where the player shoots like 6 spells at a guy and he's completely fine. Bro is still walking around trying to shoot back. I feel like after 1 or 2 spells, if you're hit right on, that should do the trick. But I understand from a gameplay perspective, like one-shotting each enemy would just be boring. Or maybe the player is too weak in year 5 because you start in 5th year. I don't know, I can't really explain that yet. But the combat looks really smooth. There's a lot of finishes that I saw. There's the ancient magic that you can use to your advantage. And at the end, we saw the Avada Kedavra being used, so your player can definitely go down the dark path. So I'm glad to see that there's more than just one way of playing the game. For my first playthrough though, I'm going to be doing it like... I assume being a good wizard will get you the good ending. So that's the one I'm going to go for first, and then after that I'm going to go dark wizard. I've already got my journey completely planned out, everything I'm going to do. As a lot of people would agree with me, the first thing I'm going to do is just explore the castle and go to my lessons. I think that is so amazing that it's like Bully, but Bully is set in a real school. This is set in a magic school. I think Hogwarts tops like Bullsworth Academy by quite a margin. Story-wise, at the moment, nothing really hooked me in. I don't care too much for the story, that might just be me. I don't really care too much for the ancient magic. I've seen people theorizing that it's going to be like Merlin magic and that the protagonist is a descendant of Merlin. I don't care too much for that. Why can't I just be a normal student? Like, it's the same with, like, Elder Scrolls games. Like, let me just be a little villager. Why do I have to be the Dragonborn and beat Alduin? Like, let me just live on a little farm, okay? But Avalanche have a lot of time to hook us into the story. From what I've seen, there's goblins, goblin rebellions happening. There's also some top-hatted little wizard who seems to be the main antagonist. And I assume they'll be hunting down us, the player. Not sure, but there seems to be a sort of crisis going on in Hogwarts. These wizards are patrolling the outskirts, so you have to sneak past them or defeat them to get into Hogsmeade. So that brings me on to my next topic. I think the stealth is really cool, and I think I'm going to use that a lot, especially if we can just use the disillusionment charm, just make ourselves disappear, or if we get an invisibility cloak, I think that is going to be the coolest gameplay ever. Like, I just want to sneak past all these guys in my little cloak, just like Harry did. Get into Hogsmeade, or maybe take the secret tunnel down into Hogsmeade. The possibilities are endless, but there is one kind of thought I've had, and that is, how is this 5th year so powerful that he can just take on any, like, adult wizard that he wants? That I didn't really understand, because in 5th year, Harry was a little bit pathetic at the time still. You know, he has his moment. It's like Deku from My Hero Academia. Like, he has this, like, end of, like, season moment, but the rest of the season is just him, like, crying and being a little bitch. So I don't know. I don't really see, like, why a 5th year should be, like, as powerful as an adult. Of course, he's got his ancient magic, but apart from that, like, what else has he really got? He's still, like, learning charms at school. Come on now. I'm sure it'll be explainable, and if it's not, then I can completely understand from a gameplay perspective. That is, you know, just how it goes. Like, you want to feel powerful as the player, especially in a game like Hogwarts Legacy. You want to, you know, harness that magic and, you know, defeat shit. There's also dynamic seasons. That's really cool. I'm wondering how they'll work. Like, I'm wondering if it'll be like a timed thing where if enough time passes, it changes season, or if it's kind of like go to bed and start winter or whatever. So I'm wondering how the seasons will actually work. I don't know if I caught it in the state of play. I don't know if he mentioned it, but yeah, I think seasons will be really cool, you know, spending Christmas at Hogwarts. I wonder if you'll actually be able to go outside of Hogwarts, like, whenever you want. Maybe, like, sneaking out with, like, flu powder to, like, go to Diagon Alley. I don't think they show Diagon Alley. And I'm wondering if that'll actually even be in the game. I assume it will be though. A place like so iconic as Diagon Alley. And if it's not in the game for the whole period of the game, I'm sure it'll be there in the start of the game. As a lot of people agree with me, I think we'll start off in Diagon Alley to pick up all our equipment, and then we'll set off to Hogwarts. Or else, I hope that's how it goes. I'm happy that we got a voiced protagonist. There was a little debate going around on Reddit about whether we'll be able to actually choose our last name or whether there'll be like a list of last names that we can choose from, because, I'd prefer my teachers to like say Potter instead of, hey, you there, boy. Like, I want to actually have an identity in the game, so it'd be cool if there's like voiced surnames. I think it's cool that we actually have a voiced protagonist. I feel in the case of Hogwarts Legacy, there's no other way about it. I wouldn't want a silent protagonist. So I'm really happy they made that choice. So there's different companions that you can have, different friends that you can make. They showcased 3 people, but then they did mention that there's more. And I'm wondering how many it is, because in my head I always dreamed of, having a unique class, everyone that I'd know everyone in the class, instead of there just being like 2 or 3 main classmates and the rest are just randomized NPCs. So I'm really hoping there is going to be more than just 3 unique friends that you can have and the rest are just ugly looking NPCs, because people were complaining that the characters that weren't the main characters looked really bad, and I agree. I'll pull up some images if I can find them. The hair textures on some of these characters are terrible. It looks plastic, it looks ugly. But like I've said, I have high hopes for this game, and they've got 8 months to, make sure it's perfect. So I'm really hoping they fix all this stuff. I've got a lot of worries that haven't really been explicitly shown, but I'm still worrying because I want this game to be as good as possible. For something like Hogwarts Legacy, like a Wizarding World trademarked game, people are going to have the highest hopes for it, and Avalanche took on that responsibility, so now they should be able to, give us what we want. They need to do the game justice, otherwise it's just gonna be chaos. Like, if they started their own IP, fine, you can mess it up however you want, no one cares. But this is Hogwarts Legacy. If Avalanche didn't take this challenge on, another developer probably would have. I've seen leaks of this game from like 4 years ago, and all that time I've just been astounded that something of this magnitude is going to release. Like, it's such a significant interest of mine, and I really want it to do well, and there's a lot that I could talk about it, but all in all, I think the game is going to turn out fine. The state of play reassured me. There is some little hiccups, but apart from those, they can probably be fixed. So apart from those, right now, it's going to make these 8 months really long for me. I watched the state of play 2 days ago at the time of recording this, and I'm still constantly thinking about it. This is huge for me. And like I said, until Elder Scrolls 6, nothing is going to bring me as much happiness as Hogwarts Legacy. I can't wait to go to Hogsmeade, spend my galleons, nuts and sickles on clothing, on potions, on chocolate frogs, whatever it is. I want it. And that's pretty much it. I think I'll make another video on this soon. Maybe my next video will also be Hogwarts Legacy. This is kind of just first impressions of State of Play. So I think I'm going to plan out another video after this where I go into more depth about my thoughts. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So see you later, fellas, gents, ladies.
Flacco, loco, no for loco, Al Capone, Al Capoco, Al Pacino of the cocaino. I'm in love with the coco.